and welcome to Start Out Instagram Live. I'm going to be joined today by a financial planner who has decided, well, not really decided, but who found herself joining right smack in the middle of the pandemic. Quite odd in terms of timing. But you know what? You got to go when you got to go. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the event. It's a Start Out Live event that we are running a series to bring entrepreneurs to you to talk to you about what it's like to start their businesses now, what it's like to be in business now, and specifically how they are helping to alleviate and offer services to people during this odd and challenging time. So let me go get my guest. I think she's arrived. And my name is Cindy Lamar. I am a board member. I'm part of the programming board for the Los Angeles chapter. I joined in January of 2020, and I had the opportunity to go to one live event, which was fabulous. And then boom, everything had to be put online because of the pandemic. There are no more live events, I imagine, for the rest of this year. So here we are. And I am a transformation coach. I work with people to help them reimagine and reset their goals, especially now. So I see that Ella has joined us. Welcome, Ella Taylor. And I'd like to do a quick introduction. Ella is a dear friend of mine. She's in the Bay Area. She's in the queer community. And maybe you can do a little bit of a self-introduction about your business.
Yeah, so I have a financial planning and financial coaching business. And what I do is I mostly work with women, LGBTQ people, and couples to help them figure out what their goals are, what their values are, how to have a healthy relationship with their money, and then we create a plan based off of that. And I just started my firm, as Cindy said, like 2 months ago.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to ask you, what is it like to be starting right now? I know that wasn't planned in that way, but what is it like to be starting at this time?
It's funny. I was thinking about it getting ready for this interview, and it's actually kind of nice, which I think everyone I talk to is like, oh no, are you okay?
I know. So you haven't experienced any particular challenges because of the times?
Oh, for sure. My wife and I, leaving a business to start your own business it's a big deal. You give up health insurance and paychecks and, all of that stuff. And so we planned how we would have ongoing income. We both had everything set out. And then the pandemic came and my wife was out of work. My work was significantly cut back. And so it was tricky.
Got it. Yeah, and the fact that two of you are entrepreneurs is extra challenging because, it's great if one person has a full-time job and the other person is out being an entrepreneur. And so I would imagine, I guess, just the risk alone is a little bit challenging.
Yes. Yeah. Luckily, we have each other.
Yes, and love is the way. Awesome. So yeah, what would you say is one of the number one issues you're seeing in finances at this time?
People are scared. It's unprecedented times. The market's down, people are out of work, they're afraid of getting sick, what happens to their families, what happens to their loved ones, and being a member of the queer community and working with a lot of queer people, one of the things that you and I talked about recently was people not getting married, right? A lot of people in our community just don't get married. It's not a thing that we really think about or talk about.
Sure.
And so how do we plan to have our loved ones be taken care of? It's hard enough if you are married, and then if you don't have those kind of, automatic things set in place that happen when you do get married, how do you think about this? And do you have enough life insurance? Is your estate plan set up?
Right.
Yeah, and then the other thing people are thinking about is, best laid plans where we were like, this is what your investments will return, and this is how long you'll work, and this is what it'll look like. And then all of
Right.
a sudden, that's not what it looks
Not so
like.
much. Yeah. I know. Yeah, actually, my partner and I got married 2 years ago for many of those reasons. We wanted to make sure that each of us was going to be taken care of if something should happen. And unfortunately, now that seems much more likely than it did before. We just don't know. So the uncertainty and just having a plan is important anytime, but it seems especially
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so. And also having someone kind of in your corner who is paying attention to what's happening in the world of like finance and, the government's passing all these different bills. Things are happening in the stock market. All of these different things are happening. And it's
absolutely.
hard enough for me to keep up with them, let
Yes.
alone someone not in this industry. And so it's really, I think a lot of my clients, we've kind of stopped financial planning um, because things are just changing. Um, but it's nice. I think they feel comfort in just talking to me. And so we're setting up more regular meetings to just talk and check in.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I just want to do a quick check on the tech. Are you seeing me? Because someone said they couldn't see me, and I just turned my camera around. So I don't know if you were looking at the
Now I see you. I
time,
didn't for a
buddy.
minute.
Apologies if you were. Hopefully you're seeing us now. Awesome. Yeah, those checklists, for sure. So I'm wondering, is there something that you could tell us about your advising versus coaching? I noticed that you are a financial advisor and a financial coach, and that's kind of a unique combination. So maybe you could go into a little bit more detail about that.
Yeah. So I've been doing financial planning for I think 12 years now. And financial planning usually starts out with how much money do you have? And now you can do this because you have this money.
Right,
Um, and it would turn into this weird relationship where I was like in charge of what was happening because it wasn't based off of their values or their goals or their vision. It was
right,
based off of what I thought they could do.
right. Kind of like
Um,
standard patterns or plans for people.
Yeah, exactly. And so I had a life coach, and I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
I have
And
one.
so,
You need one.
uh, and so I was like, oh, this is what financial planning is missing.
Yeah,
What we actually need to do is figure out like, what are their goals and what are their values? What does someone actually want? And
yes.
then create the plan based off of that.
I
Oh,
love
I can't see you anymore.
that. Is so weird. Oh, you know what happens? Whenever I wave at someone, it turns the camera back around. Love technology. Love it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm back. I feel like now you see me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, people. So go on, Ellen. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the planning piece, I do the financial planning, but with a coaching element to it, where we figure out your goals, your values, and then also it really helps with like investing. What are your values, and how do you have your investments match that?
Well, tell me
But
about
then we
that.
really,
Yeah, like
oh,
how do you do that?
that part's fun.
Yeah.
Um, because I think as a queer person and as a relatively liberal queer person in finance, um, a lot of my clients don't want to invest in oil or gas or weapons or like when the Dakota Access Pipeline was happening. Like, how do
Sure.
you have your investments match that and make sure that you're not supporting the companies that
Right.
are oppressing people?
Right.
Right. And so,
Yeah,
um, yeah, you vote with your dollar. And so having your investments match that is the way to go.
I hear you.
Um, yeah, but then how do you manage fees? A lot of stuff comes into doing that. And so, and then also, you and I were talking about, Cindy, this is like unprecedented times where we've kind of had a reset, right? Where we can't go out and spend
Everything
money.
that, yes,
Yeah.
every area.
And I know, yeah. But people are learning so much. I have so many clients who were like, I can't cut back. This is what I spend.
Right.
And now talking to them, they're like, oh, actually, I don't need to spend money on this. And it gives them like a freedom of they get to pick what they want to spend their money on and what they want their life to look like. And so it's really fun to have those conversations.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm actually finding with my clients too that this space that we've suddenly been thrust into is actually beneficial in a lot of ways because you get time
Yeah.
to stop and pause and kind of look around. You know, things are definitely going to change and we don't know where all of this is going to land, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have goals and you have to throw your dreams out the window. You know, they might shift or the timing might
Yeah.
change a little, but you know, you certainly have to just stay with yourself and what's important to you. And that's what values are all about.
Yeah. Well, and I think to your point also of, staying with where we are, some of that I think I've found coaching is so helpful for me,
Yeah.
having started this business and knowing like who I am and what my best self looks like and really what's important to me,
Yes.
because those fears and that like internal judge are very strong voices. And
Oh,
so,
oh yes.
yeah, so they come out all the time.
Strong at times.
Um, but then, managing them and recognizing them has
Yeah.
been I don't think I could have started this business without that. It would have crippled me.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about the impetus to go out on your own because you had a very successful career going. I mean, before financial advising, I think you were a pastry chef. Yeah.
Yep, I
Yeah.
was. So
Funny
that
that
was a,
I love pastry, but
oh, you and me both.
yeah, yeah, but that's probably best that I met you after that. But yeah, tell me what were your thoughts, your thought process around going from a very secure, I think it was secure,
Mhm.
full-time job, doing well, having great clients, to wanting to be on your own, that entrepreneurial drive. What tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think I always thought I was going to have my own firm.
Mhm.
There's just, I think some people who are like, I want to have my own business, and I think I'm one of them. Um, and also, I got far enough in my career that I knew exactly what I wanted to do and what I could offer people. I'm doing things in our industry that aren't common. Like, I have a retainer model, right? Where people who don't have a lot of money can work with me ongoing and get ongoing financial planning advice.
Wow.
Um, and usually you have to have like $1 million to work with an advisor,
Yeah, no, I know.
And so if
I don't
my
have my
whole
millions
goal,
yet, so yeah.
you will working with me. Just kidding.
Need your help, Ella. I do.
We'll get there, Cindy.
We'll get there. I know.
Um, but being able to choose what clients I work with, choose how I work with
Mm-hmm.
them, because I feel like I have a million good ideas, um, and then I love my clients, and I really want to just be able to do the work that they need without um, having to think of, it sounds silly, but having to think about someone else's business vision when I have such a strong one of my own. I was
That's
able to,
yeah.
yeah, create my own and do what I want to do. And so far my clients are loving it. It's been really rewarding to tell them what I'm doing and they're like, this is so cool. How do we do it with you?
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's great. I'm happy for your success and I'm happy for your clients and hopefully I'll be one day. Um, I'd also like to, I guess, go a little bit more into maybe what are some things that people can do for themselves to feel more protected and secure right now?
That's a great question. I think some of the things are getting your estate plan in order, which means, creating a will, creating a trust, creating a healthcare directive, power of attorney, all
Yeah,
these things so that if something happens to you, you have already chosen that person who will help make those decisions on your behalf.
sure.
Um, and then some of it is you can even write down what you want those decisions to be. So if something does happen to you, not only can they step in, but they're like, oh, Ella wants this. It's already written out. I just have to like implement that for her.
Right.
And so not only do you have peace of mind that you'll be taken care of, but also your loved ones know what you want. It's already written out.
Yeah.
And especially in our community, I talk to a lot of clients. I don't know when I became a big advocate of marriage. It's kind of weird. I never thought this would happen, but I think like when my wife Morgan did the AIDS life cycle, it really got me thinking. So I'm like, what if she crashes on her bike and I don't have any rights? Like, as much as her family loves me,
Yeah.
that doesn't really mean much.
And
In the long
sometimes
run.
stuff happens around death. People do strange things, or people's personalities seem to change. And yeah,
Yeah.
challenging time for many reasons.
Yeah, well, and also even like with the hospitals, right? Like if being it it sounds horrible, but not everyone is super gay friendly, and so I don't want Morgan to be in trouble and me having to prove that I'm her power of attorney or healthcare director.
No,
I want that to say it again.
it's a real concern in our community, especially. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's one thing to think about, is getting like your estate plan in order. Another one is making sure that you have like all your insurances in order. I'm a big fan, like the Goldilocks principle, where you have the right amount of life insurance, especially if you're the breadwinner and your partner is like a lower income earner.
Yes.
If something were to happen to you, how would they be taken care of? Right? Like I wouldn't want something to happen to me and then all of a sudden Morgan's like, not only am I grieving, but I have to do, I don't know, get some sort of job she's not, ready for.
Right.
And so having life insurance that, would make her okay. And then the other thing I think is having an emergency cash reserve, having money set aside so that if you do lose your job, the market goes down, all these things happen, you have cash available.
Yes.
And then also having your investments diversified.
Right. That sounds like the plan to have. Yes.
Those are all the things.
Oh, I know. Marriage was something that we hadn't really thought about that much for like, I don't know, 6 years or so. And then when we moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, I started feeling like maybe it would be good to have a little bit more security around that. And so we got the domestic partnership paper, and we used that for a while, but then time went on and we just started thinking that maybe that's not enough, with our current administration, shall we say, and just knowing that things are not what they seem sometimes. And so to be secure as you can is probably a good way to go. And so we happily got married 2018 on 4/20, which was a really fun day to get married on. And my wife thanks me because she won't forget the date. So that was also helpful. But last year we really got serious and we found a lawyer and sat down and worked on our estate. So I feel good about that area, but I feel I can also use a little more financial planning and advisement and financial coaching. I really love that piece. I think as a coach, I've worked with many people who have sort of felt detached from their true values, or maybe they need to reestablish those and to really think about what's important for them and their family or loved one, and then to take that a step further and think about it in terms of financial security and even investment. I mean, I guess right now with the stock market such as it is, would this be a great time to invest, or what are your thoughts on that? Like,
oh man, that's the $1,000,000 question right there. Well, and it's interesting because I do talk to my clients about this every day, actually. But it's such a tricky one because when the market's down, you do want to invest, right? You're like buying everything on sale.
Yeah.
But then what if, it's unprecedented times. It's not like we just went into a recession and we know that we're down.
Right.
We don't even know if the recession's coming or if we're in the recession, like it's interesting times. And so I think making sure that you have that emergency cash reserve and you have enough cash to sustain you for like 6 months should something happen. And
Sure.
then sure, you can invest the rest for like long-term growth.
Yeah.
Because theoretically, based off of history, the stock market should go back up.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always a cycle, and people panic on the way down, and then we go back up, and
I know, and then everyone wants to buy, but then you're buying at the top,
right.
which isn't good either.
Really expensive, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of great information you're sharing with us today. I really appreciate that. I've been looking to see if there were any questions coming in from the audience. I actually haven't seen too many come through. So I do have another question. I'm wondering, there are probably people in our audience, they could be from our community or not, from the LGBTQ or our allies. And they may be thinking about starting a business. Maybe they had been planning this all along, and they're really excited about their idea still. They've got the money, they're ready to launch, but it's like a weird time right now. So what are your thoughts around that? What wisdom could you share to maybe help them think it through,
Mm-hmm. Um, I think do it. Like, I feel like there's never really an optimal time to start your business. And yes, it is wild and unprecedented times to be sure. Um, but also, we have such a strong community. Like, that's the thing that I've really relied on and has really helped me through this
Sure.
is I go to, I don't know, LGBTQ presentations on what's happening in the world. I luckily have a strong financial planning community who I've reached out to everyone I know to tell them I started a business and tried to set up like happy hours and talks about like, what am I doing? How can I help you? How can you help me? And people are so supportive. They want you to succeed. Um, and so I think from the finance perspective, making sure yet again that you have that at least 6 months of living expense money set aside, because it never grows as quickly as you think it will. And
Amen.
Nestle
I know.
don't happen.
I know, and everything is even slower now. There's been such a slowdown, like across the board. I don't care what your industry is. I mean, there are some like online conferencing services, ventilators. I mean, there are certain businesses that are just poised to grow right now, but everything else seems to be like delayed or slowed down in some kind of fashion. And so,
Well, and
you
people are slower too.
know,
Like people, even, I mean, myself, which we've talked about, has been kind of nice. Where usually, I think if I'd started this business at another time, I would have felt so much pressure to
yes,
grow and be better and be bigger and do more.
it's
And
real.
now I'm like, well, I can't do too much.
Yeah,
And so it's actually been really nice, and I can work on my software and what I want the business to look like and really build out my coaching program. And so it's kind of been a really nice slow start, which I wasn't expecting,
yeah,
and which was hard.
yes.
But it's nice. I don't feel the same pressure I think I would have felt otherwise.
I agree. I launched my business in 2017, and I felt a tremendous pressure to come running out of the gates and like
Mm-hmm.
speak and do this and try to find as many organizations I could connect to. And I really did feel, there's a thing with entrepreneurship where everything is a priority and everything has to get done. And so at least that's how it feels. And it needs to get done like now, and then you have like the tech area and the communication piece and the networking and the building the actual business itself.
Oh.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed as a new entrepreneur. And so I've kind of done a reset because of the pandemic myself and sort of shifted the focus of my coaching to, recovering and getting grounded as opposed to you can do anything you want, just get out there now, And so a lot more introspection has happened for me personally. And I recommend that to my clients and to anybody listening that, take the time and use that space that you now have to really go back to your values and make sure they're still intact and make sure that your actions are still aligning with them. And then go out and do your business, you know. If your idea is still viable, you know, like you said, there's no perfect time to start a business. And there are certain challenges that are going to come no matter when you start. So,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Well, challenges, but also opportunities. You
Yes.
know, like thinking about with the pandemic, I've been trying to think about like what are the opportunities because it is scary and it is hard, but you know, what can my clients be thinking about? And like you're saying, like what are your values and what are your goals and are they still viable and maybe shifting them. And then
Yes.
there are opportunities of like your transformation coaching, you know, like people lost their jobs and now they're like, what do I do? Well,
Yes.
you go to Cindy and
And do you
she
want to go
helps
back
you figure it out.
to the same thing, or are you now seeing new possibilities that you might not have noticed before? You know, because you have the time to really stick your head out and look around and see what's happening, you know? And a lot is happening. Yeah.
Oh, well, and it, I'm closer to my friends than I have been in years.
Mm.
And, you know, and I have more time to actually just talk to people and like be present and hang out. I know. Well, because before I'm like, well, now I have to go to happy hour and then I have to go to dinner and then I have a lunch and I have a meeting and I have and I have and I have. And now I'm like, sure, my calendar's free. When do you want to meet? Like,
Yeah, and it's easier to manage the calendar. Like even if you have a lot of meetings, you're in one place doing them. You're not rushing from office to office or conference room or even building to building, right? You're in one spot pretty much, or maybe a different
yeah.
room, but you know, it's a lot easier to manage. Yeah, I would say one of the surprises is that getting people online who weren't really that keen on it, like my mom, is one thing. It's been wonderful to see her every Sunday. And before that, she wasn't too into the whole conferencing thing. And then also, like you say, even with StartOut, like some of the events that were very regional, we're now being able to open it up to the entire community and organization, which is really fabulous because anybody can get online now. So, in fact, you should really check our website very regularly, startout.org, because we do have an events page and we offer these live series and many other types of online events now since there's no more live in person. Um, so yeah, is there anything else you'd like to tell us? We're about to wrap up, but do you have any final thoughts for our audience or anything to share?
Yeah, I think, you know, I was thinking a lot about what you and I had talked about getting ready for this. And I think one of the things is if you are starting a business and you are, you know, going out and, you know, building whatever you want to build, reach out to your community.
Yes.
So many people are willing to help you,
Sure.
ask for help. It's hard. It's hard to, you know, not do everything on your own and be the best at
Yeah,
everything,
that is
which,
so
you know,
true.
is
Yeah,
my pitfall for sure. Um,
I
but
know.
one of the things,
Suffer
one
from
of the
that
things,
as well.
yeah, I think,
Yeah.
well, and I think entrepreneurs especially,
Yeah. You think you have to do everything equally
you really
well.
do.
Yeah.
And there's only certain things that I do really, really well. And so reaching out and asking for help and people want to help you. You can trade to
Yeah.
get your business up and running. You know,
Yes.
there's
Ways.
people there for you. There's ways to do it. You have your vision, believe in yourself,
Yeah.
know who your best self is and your values. And I think anyone can do it if you want to.
That's fantastic. And also you need your dream team. You need those people who you can call and just bounce an idea or call and commiserate or call and just say hi, you know, how's it going for you today? And especially now, checking in on people is really key to all of us getting through this. And yeah,
Yeah, it really is. The networking calls are now like, how are you doing calls instead
right.
of,
Not
and
just
they're
what can you
nice.
do for me and I do for you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Things have been forced into a different kind of humanity. And I think that's a good thing, a good result of all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's already time to wrap this up. I've really enjoyed having you join us. I hope the audience has enjoyed it too. I've seen some thumbs up and things going by, so I think they've enjoyed it. Thank you, audience, for joining us. We really appreciate your participation and you showing up and hopefully learning a little bit more about what you can do for your own finances. Check back. We'll be doing more of these series events next week and beyond. And I just hope everybody stays well. Take care of yourselves and keep on keeping on.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, StartOut and Cindy.
Yes. Take care. Bye bye.
You too. Bye.